Waylon, what you doing?
Nothing.
Are you playing?
Maybe.
Have you finished your video yet?
No.
What episode you on?
5.
Get to work!
Okay. Welcome back to the garage, everybody. Today we're going to be putting the motor on the car, brakes, working on the chain, drive sprockets. We're going to have a few hiccups, but we'll get it figured out. Let's go!
Howdy y'all, and welcome to my shop. Join my family and me as we build projects and go on adventures. My name is Waylon, and this is Muddy Turtle Motors. I have the engine mocked up here and it's close. There's a little extra plate on this shaft and I need another washer to work as a spacer just so that this isn't walking back and forth. Hold up. Turbo says don't forget to subscribe, drop a comment, share this video, ring the bell, and hit that like button. Now back to the video. In case you've never seen one of these before, this is a chain breaker, and this brass bolt looking piece crimps down on the outside of the chain to hold it, and then this piece here screws through it. There's a pin that punches out these pins. They're not 100% necessary. I've seen people do this with a punch and a hammer, but this is just so much nicer and easier. It's $6-7 tool. Get them on Amazon, get them at the auto parts store. They're worth it. Get you one. Go easy on them because the pin in there can snap off, but I've never had that failure. I've just heard other people having that issue. Let's see here. Nope. All right. So I lined my chain up, figured out exactly where I wanted it. I'm gonna punch out this pin right here. So that's why I put my fingers there so I know where it's at. I'm going to set the pin I'm going to punch out inside the recess there. Just like that. See if I can, yep. And we're going to tighten down this little bolt right here. Doesn't have to be crazy tight, just enough to support it. Okay. I can kind of let go there. Okay. Now just tighten up the punch, basically is what it is. And it's going to slowly press out the pin. It'll come out right here as we tighten it. Oop. And it got real loose there because it just smashed through the hole. So there you go, you can start to see it. And as you can tell, I'm not forcing anything. I'm not working hard to do this at all. That pin is there. I'll be able to just pull it out. Yep. There's that little pin. And then I'll back this out. Yeah, if you have to force it, you're probably doing something wrong. I'm gonna go easy with it. And that's how you break it, is by forcing it. Okay. Oop. Drop my chain. Chain breaker. Get you one. Lucky day. Started looking in the parts drawer and I found my 3/4 inch bushings so we can get that clutch put on properly. Right now just mocking this up, but whenever we do final assembly, I'll go back and Loctite this with blue Loctite. Yeah. For the time being, we'll go ahead and get the number 35 chain set up. The small sprocket driving the wheel is a number 35. Normally I like to go with all the same size chains just so parts are all the same. You buy one type of everything. But this cart was already set up to run 35 on the wheel. That sprocket, I don't want to change it. So the jack shaft I added, I just got a sprocket that ran that chain. So let's get that set up. Slide the key into the sprocket. That makes it attached to the jack shaft. So just like if the motor was attached to it, you can see it now turns the wheel. Of course, nothing's tight right now, so the chain kind of jumps a little bit. Alignment looks pretty good. That sprocket is going to be way too big. Okay, so we're going to have to take a step back and replace this sprocket. I'll jump on my phone here in a little while and I'll order something a little bit better. It'll still be the same pitch. Just can't go this big a diameter. I was trying to gear it down to slow this car down, but not going to hook them up. So when that comes in, we'll come back to this part of the project. For now, I'm going to go ahead and install the brake. We're going to be doing a band brake on this cart, and that bolts onto the side of the engine and just grabs the side of the clutch. So as the cart is driving, it engages, let's see, the crankshaft spins, that flings out the weights, it grabs the outside of the bell that drives the clutch. That's how the clutch works inside here. As that spins, it grabs the jack shaft and pulls the wheel. With band brake, that grabs the outside of the bell, which again stops the chain, it grabs this, it grabs the wheel. Normally you don't want to do that in a super high stress type build, but with this being a parade car, it's not going very fast, no more than about 5 miles an hour, it should be fine. Okay, so we have out here the band brake kit, and it doesn't come with instructions. So I've laid out all my parts and pieces here. I'm going to show you a rough draft of how it's supposed to go together, and then we'll put it on the engine. So we have the band brake, 2 flanged nuts, 2 large nuts, 2 flanged bolts, 2 large bolts, 2 large nuts, 1 small nut, I'm not sure what you call that, a cable stop bolt. It's hollow, so the cable can go through that. That's what that is. Return spring, 2 crush washers. You have your big bolt, the cable stop, the bracket that actually holds it all together. Like I said, the brake, and this is just a cover to keep anyone sticking a finger in there. So, putting this together. A little fidgety, but you take your band brake and it fits in here. This bolt goes through this hole and threads into this nut that's pressed in on the back side. But as we're threading that through, these 2 large nuts go on this bolt to help keep the band where you want it. So we're going to start the bolt in the hole, and then you start the first nut. I'm just holding it on the back side and starting it with my finger. So it goes through a little ways. Go ahead and put the band on there. Thread through that for a ways. we go. Went a little too far. Okay, get the other large nut on there started. So, let me show you where I'm at here. We got the bracket, the bolt goes through, you have your first nut on there, the band in the middle, and another nut here. These two nuts will grab hold of this band and keep it where I want it. And I'm going to run these nuts all the way down so this bolt can go all the way through into this pressed in nut here. Okay. Okay, so we got that all the way in there. Now you can see it. Let's see, get it in the shot here. So I have the bolt sunk all the way through. You can run this nut up against here, and that locks the bolt in place there, and then same thing here. Or you can lock them down on that band and keep that band from walking. So that's this piece. These two holes face forward on the motor because that's where your cable comes in. And so we will do that part next. You grab the little nut and the cable stop bolt. You can put it in either hole. Hold it over here in front of you. You can put it in either hole. I typically put it in the one further to the outside because that's usually what lines up centered for me. One is on the clutch. Inside there is where you'll put the small nut. This probably be easier to bend before I put the band on there, but it's not undoable. You just back that out a little bit. I'm holding the nut in there with my finger. You can see it through there. And I'm just running the bolt in. So, if you do it out of order, not the end of the day. It's not a big deal. Cable runs through right there over the top. And that is where this spring comes in. So, if you look at the spring, the top is kind of bellowed out, it's bigger, and that is so it fits right over the top of that bolt. So whenever you're running your cable, the cable will go through here, and it goes through the spring, and that spring is to help make sure this band opens up. This is steel, okay, and so as this cable grabs, it's going to grab this band and it's going to grab your clutch and it's going to stop. This is steel, it should spring back, it should open up. But just to make sure, that's what the spring is for, is to help push it back and make sure the band opens back up like it's supposed to. So you could probably run without it, but I wouldn't recommend it. You have your cable stop, which it just has an Allen little set screw in the end of it, and the cable goes through it, and this goes in the band here, and there's a cut in the band so you can run your cable through. So when you have it all put together, fiddly thing, if the back side it has the motor, the cable's coming in through here, goes straight through the spring into the cable stop. And then you yeet your spring across the desk. Anyways, these two pieces are loose until we get this mounted on the motor and have the cable in it. So I'm going to set these to the sides, I won't lose them. The rest of our hardware here is a lot more straightforward. We have the two big bolts. They go through the back side of the plate here and here. And that's what actually mounts this whole contraption to the motor. It's if you've ever done a torque converter, it goes into those same holes on the side of the engine. We'll look at that in a moment.
They go down there, and that bolts straight to the side of the motor. The clutch rides inside here. So those two out of the way. These two pressed in nuts on top is where your cover goes. They go here. You have two crush washers. And simple enough, crush washer. Set it on there. Thread that down. So your final product is covered. You don't have all that exposed. You still see it from the ends, but helps keep debris or fingers or anything you don't want stuck in there from getting it in there. You don't have to have that if for some reason you wanted to have it off, but again, that's a safety feature. I don't recommend running without it. So that goes there. Bolts go in the back. And that is the kit. That is a band brake. So, kind of a hard shot here, but the best way to do this is to take your clutch off, because it does get in the way of getting to the bolts on the backside. It can be done with leaving the clutch on there, but for your sanity, it's much better if you don't do that. Easy enough to take that bolt back out. Clutch off. Don't lose your two bushings. I'm going to leave mine on here. And these two bolts here on the side cover, see if I can move it a little bit more. That frame is right in the way. These two bolt holes are where the clutch bracket bolts up. Clutch back on so we can all see that. Perfect. Then the retaining bolt for the clutch. Be careful not to cross thread these. I've had the worst luck with these retaining bolts stripping out. I recommend always using a large washer and a crush washer and Loctiting that. And it doesn't have to be super tight. Just snug enough that you're not going to strip those threads. There you go. It does rub a little bit. It'll clear itself as it spins, but the way it works is when that cable comes through and it grabs that cable stop on the backside. See, this is also hanging lower than where it would be when it's fully assembled. This will actually be up a little bit. But when it grabs that clutch like this. So as it spins, it grabs and then it don't spin at all. And that stops everything down to the wheel. So, we have brakes, we have a motor, we have a drive wheel, and we have most of the drive system. Oh. I told you about it. Let's show it to you. There we go. Nice and protected. Well, that's going to be it for today. We got our motor mounted, we have our brake installed, and we got most of our drivetrain set up. We're going to be swapping out the main drive sprocket on the jack shaft, and to make that a little bit smaller so we can clear the ground when the cart's on the ground. But we will do that next time. Thanks for watching.